Let's learn something really quick.
If you got the time, absolutely. And you got the discipline, there's no question about it.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great practice to put into your everyday life, you guys.
You generally regret the things you don't do, not the things you did do. Let me say it that way.
Mic drop. This was just awesome. I love meeting my guests in person, and it's a whole nother animal, and the energy is just electric. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a brand strategist. He's a writer, designer, creative director, speaker, author, and the president and brand strategist of Vyoo. Please welcome Henry Wong. Henry, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Deanna. It's great being here.
Should we tell the audience, we are like BFFs at this point? We've talked back and forth.
It's taken us so long to get together. I think I've gotten to know you quite well.
I know, that's great. I love it when we can build a relationship when we're going to get one of these episodes out. Well, you know what? I want to share with the audience, when we first had our intro conversation, I was at the airport. I was heading back to Chicago. And one thing that stuck out to me is that he's very passionate working with companies that were doing good. And I'm like, I love that. And that was one of the things that really drew me to wanting to have you on the show. So can you kind of tell the audience and just share with us a little bit about your journey starting Vyoo and why your mission is so important?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I've been in the, in spite of my boyish looks, I've been in the advertising business for well over 25, close to 30 years. And you work with a lot of big brands along the way, and you begin analyzing how you may govern yourself. So I've gone out on my own. I've bought and sold agencies along the way. My last partner, prior to starting Vyoo, had unfortunately passed away from Alzheimer's over a long period of time. I needed a bit of a reset. And at that point, I realized that I didn't simply want to take on clients again. I didn't simply want to take on, clients in which, they had a huge budget and I could make money from it. Because by then I was almost ready to retire anyway. So I thought a wonderful reset would be, what if I focused on only working with people and companies that want to do good in the world? Because it's always been my passion. Us in advertising and in branding tend to do what, like a lot of business services, pro bono work. You try to do paying jobs, but on the side, you do things that, may help benefit the world. So why not have a company that revolves around that and focus on companies whose mission really is to try to do good in the world? And if I can align with them and help them, then I think we can now definitely both benefit. And it's been wonderful. At the time when I started, I thought, oh, this will probably cut down the amount of business I would get because I was looking to take on less work. But what I found was the opposite. It began actually giving me more work because there were more people of that same ilk wanting and looking for people of that mission-driven type of purpose in life, that they began coming to me. And from there, we've been building ever since.
First of all, you look like you could be 25, not that you've been in this industry for 25 years.
Yeah.
Secondly, look what happens when you start putting your mission and your beliefs first, and what the world or universe, whatever, all the energy that comes back to you, and working with companies that want to do good. Because I feel like agencies that are in branding, and advertising, tend to be a little bit more, and excuse me for saying this is a label, okay, just a judgment, can be on the sleazy side, right? I
think we rank amongst the same level as car salesmen if I last looked at the survey.
Right. Okay. So thank you. That's that's my impression. And so for someone like yourself that is offering a much needed and necessary service in today's world, especially with how powerful media is, to be a brand strategist that is going to be working with people that are trying to do good is really admirable. Right. And I would like to talk about, how do you help a business stay on the good side of things when you are trying to get people's attention in this crazy world that moves so fast?
I think the first thing is being true, being authentic, as many people have said. You can't fake goodness, meaning that, oh, I'm going to take on this veil of being a purpose-driven company because it might mean sales for me. It has to be part of the DNA of the company. And that's really what I look for in the clients I work with, people I work with, is that truly is it in their heart. It's not enough simply to have words on the wall. You really have to be driven by that. And quite often people in this space, profit is definitely part of it, and the two go hand in hand, but they do want to affect the world in a positive way. And when that happens, then it's very easy to align. When you're at cross purposes, as we've often seen with many business services, you're essentially just taking the paycheck. When you align with people who have that same view, everything becomes easy because you understand each other and you know why you're doing what you're doing. Even the employees you hire, even the team that you build, if they're aligned to it, it's much easier to create that culture than it is to impose a culture. So you recruit, you align people with that, and the rest, you just keep going at it until success happens.
So for you personally in your business, has it been hard for you to find people that align with your mission?
No, I mean, anytime, particularly bringing on team members, it's one of the things I talk about right from the beginning. This is what the agency is all about. This is what we do, and we're really driven by the intent to do good. And you can see by their reaction whether they, oh, okay, that's nice, or they light up and get excited. And many people find this as well who run companies. When you lay out your mission, you lay out exactly what you stand for and how you're going to go about it, people will jump on the train and they will, support you 100% all the way. If you're just simply a company that outputs a product or service, or, and the intent is money, what you're doing, your conversation is much more transactional. You're having that discussion around, well, how much should I get paid? How much time do I get off? Whereas the conversation really should be, how can we work together to make this a better world or a better product that we're outputting?
So what's different with Vyoo compared to some of the other agencies that you've maybe worked with or dealt with in the past?
I work a little bit more on the basis of non-permanence, meaning that, over the years, I typically have had clients for 7, 8 years. It's a nice long-term relationship. As I learned to taper off in my business career, the business model, for those who are interested, was a little bit more of a temporary type of setup, meaning that I work mostly with mid-growth companies, those who have reached a certain level, but they need a hand in marketing to get them to the next level. So my setup was really to help them align their brand, but at the same time, set up their marketing department and then actually get out of it so they can be self-running. I think those who set it up that way can go on and be a lot more independent and not necessarily rely on outside agency. So the experience I bring from the outside can help drive the company internally. But the idea is for me to essentially design myself out of a job, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
No, I think that's awesome. So you empower their marketing team to really be able to take things over so they can be successful long term. I think that's great. A lot of people that do what you do probably wouldn't understand that.
I get a lot of satisfaction in that. It's almost like seeing your child go off and to school or ride their first bicycle. But putting together that team is part of the joy. Finding the right combination of people and resources and trying to be independent is great. Done that successfully a number of times.
Yeah. Well, you shared something with me that's pretty exciting. So before we start talking about your book, let's hear about one of your projects that you're currently working on that we'll name drop, please. We want to hear about it.
So, one of the companies I work with is Orialis Foods. I'm also, in this temporary state, CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. And the purpose around the company is to feed the world with healthy, affordable food. So the way to go about that is using the most popular food in the world, which happens to be ramen. So the company has created an instant ramen that is 20 grams of protein, organic, plant-based, kosher, halal. Anybody can eat it, but it's healthy for you as opposed to many of the brands that you see on the market that are laden with additives and MSG. But very, very much that purpose of the company aligned with my goals as well, of course, because want to have an impact on the world, and particularly on the food front, because so many people are unable to afford healthy meals, and this makes it available to them. So when we had the opportunity, we got a meeting with Gordon Ramsay, and we shared this story with them. And I told them a little bit about the founder of the company, who was a former doctor who volunteered in the villages of India and saw all the malnutrition. With that, um, Chef Ramsay got very excited and he says, "Do you have me? I want to be part of this endeavor." And for theirs, it was easy to build on it and a brand ambassadorship around him, number one. And then number two, we're, launching this fall a line at his own ramen under his name with that very healthy product. So you can look forward to seeing that on the Walmart shelves.
Very cool. That story just gave me goosebumps. That's awesome. And I will be purchasing that ramen because I do like ramen, but I don't eat it because it is not very good for you. But something high in protein, I'm in. So I will be a customer.
Your address after, I'll get you a case, so it's not an issue.
Awesome. I love it. Let's talk about your book, Telling Your Story. I love the title. What is the book about and who is it for?
It really is for the everyday person. It's for people navigating their career or starting a business or trying to find funding, let's say, to realize their next stage of development within their enterprise. As I said, I've been in the business for many years. I've worked out a methodology. I'm sharing it in a book that people can take upon themselves, do the work, and create their own brand around it. So the one thing I unfortunately found is that many people would come to me without necessarily the budget, unfortunately, because not everybody can afford an agency or a professional service or a brand uh, director, brand strategist. So this makes a lot of my, I guess, learning and knowledge available to people. But it goes step by step in terms of how to really understand who you are, figure out how you position yourself in the market, what that message is, and then ultimately, how do you tell that story to the rest of the world? Because for many entrepreneurs or people reading managerial roles, they're often in that position of, that sort of frightening question. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And,
Yeah.
that really is what it comes down to. You can understand what you're all about, telling who you are and sharing that insight with people can really connect you with the right people. And hopefully you can, find those business relationships that can, whether it's as an employee, manager, or simply running your company at the same time.
Yeah. And before we started recording, we were talking about how important it is, even for you yourself as a professional, the importance of having your own brand. It's not only just for businesses, but it's for that professional that's putting themselves out there to establish a good brand for themselves.
No, yeah, absolutely right. No, and this is as much cultural as it is for people. So my background is Chinese. I come from an Asian culture. I grew up in North America, so I'm very Canadian and American in the way I look at life. But I remember early in my career, I had always been taught, like, do a good job, people will recognize it, and so you keep your head down, you work hard, and you hope that people see that. But the reality of it is there's so many people doing jobs, but unless you are sharing, promoting yourself, engaging with other people, there are ways in which people don't see you. And
Yeah.
I find that being able to manifest your brand, bring it, that doesn't mean that you have to be supercharged and outgoing and be the life of the party. It's just really understanding your place amongst the world in which you work in or live in, and you know how to be that person, because that really is your brand. I'm very much about being authentic to who you are. So creating that is key from the very beginning in terms of first understanding who you are and then sharing that with people. But if you don't share it with people, you come to your own conclusion. Because in my business, there's a saying that goes, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will. And sometimes it's not always the best story that they share because they come to their own conclusions. So shape your story and then share it.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Now, do you talk anything at all about social media and how your brand should come across on social media in the book?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does need to be a reflection of who you are and the sort of way in which you want to position yourself in the marketplace. Too many people, and we see this quite a lot. They have a very front-facing social media, or they have a front-facing presence, but in reality, they're not like this. And I find that in the world of trying to be happy, that disconnect can create a lot of unhappiness. Oh, you're so much on this trend of trying to be out there that you're simply spending all your time posting and getting content out, that you're not necessarily sharing things that are ideal to enhancing how you might be positioned in the world. And this is why it's so important to understand, find that right positioning for you, so that when you do go to creating social media, it's a reflection of it as opposed to simply more content that you're putting out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that. I mean, because it like social media is media in general is such a big part of our world. I mean, hence we're doing a podcast right now, and podcasting is another form of media that has blown up. And it's you, if you are going to put yourself out there in the public eye, you really need to have a very strong brand for yourself or for your business that you're representing so that you can get success and leverage those different outlets that you are showing up on. And it's, to me, I think it's very important. I've had to brand several of my own companies, and one thing I've learned over the years is being consistent with your brand and showing up the right way is really what's going to set you apart from other people.
Absolutely, it is, and it's much more than just simply creating the content, because many people think that okay, TikTok's really popular. Shouldn't I be on that? And no, it'd be quite. It really should be, where is the audience that you want
Right.
to be able to tap into? And sometimes it's Instagram, sometimes it's LinkedIn, many times it could be Facebook. Well, again, it depends on where your customer base is or people you're ultimately trying to appeal to with this sort of social media content. So again, it really comes back to that self-analysis and knowing who your customer is or who your public is that you're looking to connect with.
Yeah, and I love that. Henry, where can people find you, learn more about Vyoo, or purchase your book?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you for that. So I do have a site, henrywong.co, and book is available at all the online retailers, Barnes and Noble, Amazon. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me through that site, or I love engaging with people, but if you're looking simply to grab the book, that's where you can go. Amazon's a great place to grab it.
And you're on LinkedIn as well, right?
LinkedIn, yeah, yeah, and that's my favorite social media these days.
Yeah, it's definitely a must. You guys, I'm gonna put those links in the show notes. So if you connected with Henry and want to purchase the book, go click the link, go follow him on LinkedIn. If you have any questions for him with branding, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm sure he'd love to give you a few pointers if you can't hire him and his company. Henry, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I'm all one for happiness, as we talked about through this and our previous discussions. But I'm, a very strong advocate of just being true to yourself. I love the Shakespeare line, "To thine own self be true." As you navigate this world of your brand or your social media, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure. I always like to say I can't be anything else other than myself. Like what you see is what you get. If you don't like it, oh well, sorry. But I love that. Thank you for leaving us with those very special words because I think it's something to remember, especially in today's world with media and people trying to pretend to be something that they're not. Henry, thank you for sharing what you do and your purpose in with your business. I think it's wonderful and I cannot wait to get that ramen.
Look forward to sending it. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been terrific.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.